organization of Austria. We have now two offices. The first one, the main one, is in The Hague, where the Secretary General Stichstadt, but in the other region, if you know her, is based. But then, as we have close contacts, of course, with the European Parliament, we have another growing office in Brussels. We have only 15 employees, which is sometimes pretty surprising for all the Austria is doing. But this is also because we are all there doing that together with many other colleagues, NGOs, or other organizations. We have 45 countries in Europe and 23,000 Europe per engaged, any kind of engagement. We have 350 members, member association and associate relations, which is important 1,500 individual members, and we see almost half, more than half, young members. So this is very important because, of course, in our governing bodies, the council, the board, there are people like me, with age, but important that the young generation is really pushing and interfering and helping us in social media and many other issues. This connection, this intergenerational connection, is very clear. We have 17 national delegations. This means there's a Open Austria UK, there's a Open Austria Belgium, there's a Spanish Austria, there's Open Austria Germany, and many, many others. They are working more or less independently, but also in close relation with Open Austria in The Hague. And then we have this new four regional hubs in Athens, Krakow, and others that I'll tell about them more. It's a new element to get more impact in the regions of Europe. Well, we have member organizations, associate organizations in Armenia. You see which ones, this is very important, 5 member organizations, associate organizations, and of course also individual members. Well, our activities has 4 main pillars. The oldest ones are the European Heritage Groups. Frankly speaking, Open Austria is a very strange organization in a sense that we once came into contact with Open Austria, but never meeting at the beginning of June in Malta, and the commissioner came to Malta, and he was with the council. The council of Malta had 60 members, all of Europe. Not only members of the EU, this is important, the whole of Europe, Ukraine, Iceland, and of course the Baltic countries as well. And we discussed 2 hours about his cultural compass. So it was important to get the feedback from cultural professionals, stakeholders, what they think, what should be the outcome of this initiative. So I think it was quite good. Policy, key documents are important. Key documents, each summit which we are preparing is not just an agra, policy agra, discussions and so on, but also a paper which we are preparing. So great, we had it in Venice, there was a great topic 2 years ago, European cultural citizenship, which we fought for, and the rest of next year, this year will be Brussels. So each summit has a specific topic. We're evaluated. It was digital transformation in the heritage field together with Europeana. And then heritage in danger. Since 2013, we have grown with 7,000 in danger. Of course, Europe has much more endangered heritage sites than just 7, but this is a way a symbolic event. I think it's important. It's quite successful. It's a cooperation with European investment banks, and then the small amount of money is invested in Europe, but at least helping this endangered site, not only restoration work, this is not enough, but really for advocacy work, for PR work, and so on. This is quite well deserved. All these sites which we have, and very angry letters from the last one was from the Prime Minister from Kosovo, was very angry about the site in Kosovo. It was one of the 7 most endangered, but it's important. It's important that they get angry. See that Europe is looking at the sites and what is happening in these important places. Yeah, European Heritage Award talked about that. This is really our newest and most successful element. We are doing, this is also important for the European Union, the European Commission, the Heritage Awards, but with award winners from all over Europe, not only from member states. And each year there are up to 30 winners in 5 different categories. The categories are from time to time changing, of course, restoration work, adaptive reuse and so on, but also educational work, heritage, capacity building, and other things are provided, networking, and also heritage champions, so people who all their life did extraordinary work, and also 5 categories. And then after that, from these 30 winners, we select 5 countries, and then one public choice award, which is digitally through the website of Australia, we vote one of them, it's also quite important. You see the figures since 2002, almost 4,000 winners in 46 countries. I think this is very, very important. And they are really well established as a whole scheme, and we are very happy that they are getting an award, and it's a lot of publicity in the country, and also, of course, all over Europe. We do the award ceremony connected with the summit, but also set from time to time. We do it in the different countries. But always, one of us can go there. I think it's also important to do it in the countries, in all the places, different projects around the world. So just impressions about the awards. And then the last topic I want to explain a little more in detail, the European Heritage. This was something in chance, which the European Commission offered to us. Of course, it was a congress we wanted to bring really heritage in Europe's climate, social, and digital transformation. These 3 fields. And the background is that EU-funded pilot project connecting happy stakeholders and digital across Europe in these 3 fields: a more sustainable, digital, and inclusive society. I think we can add more fields, but as I said, in the first phase, in the pilot phase, which we most important. It started in May 2023 and it ended will end of this month. And we are waiting now for the invitation. It works like this: the invitation of the European Commission now to bring an application for prorogation, and I think that's going to be quite successful. And of course, there are 3. Those are fostering synergies and cooperation, heritage, of course, advocates for listing policies, very important, organizations, governance, and then of course also connecting heritage to funders which are helping us. Und ich kann Ihnen mehr vorbereiten. Actually, we have in Iraq. Iraq as well. Now, all this support which are doing for Ukraine and for Eastern Central Europe, also because the countries still are not member of the European Union, we should build up something in there. I was very keen to support this. We support the Afghan house here. This is not bad. And another one was following the mehr auf Essen, this one there also in this one has to be one Belgian foundation, a very powerful foundation, supporting the residential. Last one is now in Nicosia, and we are talking about others, and what's done in those Yerevan. The idea is these hubs, they can exist for some time, and then they can disappear. It depends, because it always needs individuals. Individuals are really bringing forward, powerful forward workers. They can have a regional focus. It's in Iraq or in Nicosia or in Eastern Mediterranean, because it's also important. We never see Europe as an exclusive or exclusive shop. Keeping others out. Cultural borders, borders. Mediterranean is not enough. Even when we focus, of course, is Europe. But in Potsdam, for example, we are thinking about creating one with specifically dedicated, will be dedicated to climate change and cultural heritage. Because we have in Potsdam, it's very famous, world famous Institute for Potsdam Institute for Klimafolgenforschung, research on the consequences of climate change. And of course, do something with them together, we will be back in Yerevan. Cultural crisis, as we discussed yesterday, destruction of culture, heritage. And of course, the hub network has a special focus also on the neighboring countries of the European Union. So many countries, Ukraine, Moldova, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Georgia, and Western Balkans. I think this is very important. As a lot of NGOs, many, they are really also very, very engaged in understanding the importance of heritage for communication, just as one part of values. And also, this is to expand this work. Very important also for the hub. And this is not at all these points, a shorter survey of which hubs country representations. So there are people who are really in close contact with us. We have special programs with Ukraine, for example. We have a kind of fellowship program for the kind of fellowship program for Ukrainian heritage professionals with very, very low salaries.
That the Armenian Society of Fellows detected is the lack of coordination between existing projects and resources. So we think that joining our forces will be very beneficial to increase the impact.
leading independent organization dedicated to safeguarding the world's most treasured places. We are celebrating our 60th anniversary this year. We are 3 years younger than Europa Nostra. That's because a lot of important milestones in the world of heritage happened in the mid-1960s. We have had the opportunity to contribute to preservation efforts at more than 700 sites in 100 countries during that history. We'll find a way to show this to you. Thank you. What I was going to say here is that I want today, given all the challenges that we've heard in the last couple of days, for those of you who were there this morning, facing Armenian cultural heritage, today I want to focus on practical ways that World Monuments Fund can work with world organizations. Next one. Okay, so how do we work? All of our work is partnership-based. We work in collaboration with local communities to safeguard the places that matter the most to them. Some of the principles that guide our work is, as I just said, of course, always be community-centered and driven by local knowledge and priorities. We are collaborative. We like to build long-term partnerships that grow over time rather than one-off interventions. We focus very much on passing. At the moment, we're active at 44 active projects across 34 countries. Our headquarters are in New York, but we have offices and affiliates worldwide, or in Western Europe, and also in India, Peru, Cambodia, and Middle East. As an example of our long-term partnerships that we're working on, World Monuments Fund has been active at Angkor Archaeological Park in Cambodia, and we think that the impact of our work over the last 35 years has been to contribute to the rebuilding of the cohort of conservation professionals and the workforce, at least in our field projects, skilled workers that we've seen in the trip here. We think our investment has resulted in the creation of over 3,000 job years. Asking how we calculate this employment with a total economic impact of nearly $17 million. And I think another demonstration of our impact or success is that by 2024, with several field sites that we have been active at, we're taking over again fully under the management of the local national authorities, that our projects were being run almost entirely by local professionals. So the best way for people to work with us is the World Monuments Fund. This is a program that helps us to identify and shine the spotlight on and take action on behalf of heritage places that can be anywhere in the world, and they're facing significant challenges where there's potential for preservation to create transformative change, and that they also help us illuminate and understand important issues in the heritage field and in the world overall. How does the program work? It is open to all. Anyone can nominate. It can be an organization like many of the organizations represented in the room. It doesn't have to be the national government. We are community driven. Nominations to the watch announce the program every 2 years. We took a third year recently due to the pandemic, but it works on a 2-year cycle, and it is the main way in which World Monuments Fund engages with new sites and preservation initiatives. What does the benefits that watch inclusion can bring you? We think a big one is the press coverage, media attention when the launch is announced. We, of course, then through our global team of my colleagues who tend to have their own regional and issue expertise, we offer the opportunity for the successful nominators to work together with our experts. We are able to guarantee a small amount of funding for a community engagement event, which we call Watch Day. And then we also have created a network of all past participants in the program, Watch Network, where we're able to stimulate exchange between people who have participated in the program before. So that's what happens immediately when the launch is announced. Of course, this is the first step to ongoing collaboration with the World Monuments Fund, and our goal in every case is to work with successful nominators to jointly design advocacy and preservation strategies. All of our work depends on fundraising, and so this is another key component to how we work together. With the launch of the watch, we activate our fundraising capacities in order to be able to find resources for interventions that we design together. Because there's so much about the watch that has to do with advocacy and getting the message out. In recent years, we have had some very successful storytelling partnerships with groups like the Arts and Culture, the Magnet Foundation, to help bring the stories of the watch sites to life, and also technical assistance and capacity building for those mega sites. Next one. What this is, of course, ideally also what we do is field projects. This is most of what we do. Those can include physical conservation interventions, but also you see on the slide here any number of related initiatives, often having to do with SIREH emergency response, training programs that we put together, documentation, research, finding, advocacy, campaign, and policy. Next one. Separate. Aside from the watch, World Monuments Fund also has had a long history of responding to crises as they arise. So I brought here some examples, 3 examples from Ukraine, Turkey, and Iraq. In the case of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, we were able to mobilize, add a Ukrainian member to our team who's based in Ukraine, and we have the opportunity to develop a number of initiatives in the country having to do with protection, emergency protection, stabilization of damaged places, and conditions assessment and mapping of damaged heritage places. In Turkey, I was there recently, World Monuments Fund has a project that responds to the 2023 earthquakes in southern Turkey and Syria, and our program there, thanks to funding from the U.S. Department of State, focuses on reconstruction of the Orthodox Church in Antakya and the synagogue, and then many ongoing projects in Iraq, stemming ultimately from a multi-year presence in the country that started with the help of the Preservation Institute in the mid-2000s. At the moment, have to do valuable. After 50 years, the reconstruction of the Mosul Museum is a big project of World Monuments Fund undertaking in support of relief and in your video exhibit. So again, what are ways that we can work together? Listed at the top is the World Monuments Watch. We'll start accepting nominations again for the next cycle of the program in the beginning of 2026. Probably, if you follow us, we'll launch this announcement. And ongoing discussions that I and others in the organization have been having with other colleagues, also thanks to the opportunities that I've had to visit Armenia last year and this time to better understand the conservation needs for the field in the country. Next one. How do we, what do we think is our main contribution? We think we're very good at identifying appropriate funding sources for heritage projects. As I said a minute ago, I didn't explain this so thoroughly. We are a not-for-profit organization. So all of our work relies on fundraising that we do for individuals, for foundations, for corporations, and some governments. And this is a main, a big prerequisite, a big requirement for a successful project, but it's also something that we think we're very good at. We have a long history of working together with communities to together design project proposals. This has resulted in international networks that we can leverage, like the network of past watch nominators, but also all the collaborators with the World Monuments Fund over the years. And just as a point of information for the capacity of the watch, over the years since 1996 when the program was initiated, it has leveraged more than $300 million in addition to the funding that UMM has provided. It has leveraged, we think, more than $300 million from third-party sources for the sites that again, so immediate steps, I hope that if you will consider submitting the launch invitation for the next cycle of the program. Pictured here a photo of a very successful watch nomination a few years ago from that house in Japan. Local community, citizen-driven effort that brought in particular that house sent out to our attention, allowing us to also understand how this type of site is quickly disappearing, with a very interesting proposal to reuse the building to create a third space so that we may not be using the back house as often because people increasingly leave at home, but we can visit this facility and use it to socialize and strengthen local ties. So just one example, you can find many more if you follow us from the current cycle and the past issues of the watch. We are very, we don't just have to wait until 2026, 2027. Next slide probably has, the last slide has my contact information. The point of it is you should feel free to be in contact with us ahead of time. We're very happy to advise interested nominators on the types of sites, the types of approaches, the types of framings for submissions to the watch that are most likely to be successful. It's a very competitive program. In recent years, the selection rate has been under 10%. That's after a very, that's after a very about specific challenges, specific sites, and particular ways that World Alliance Fund can work together in Armenia.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Good morning, everyone. I'm Tim Waywood, and I'm the director of the Getty Conservation Institute in Los Angeles. We are part of a large organization called the J. Paul Getty Trust, a private philanthropic organization in the United States that works internationally. The Getty as a museum, which is well known as our founders' collection principally. We have a grant-making foundation, which makes grants around the world supporting the Getty's areas of interest, art museums, art historical research, and the conservation of our architecture. We have a major research library, which some of our colleagues here know quite well. The Getty Research Institute, which houses one of the most comprehensive art historical libraries in the world. And then my own institute, the Getty Conservation Institute. Our mission statement is to advance conservation practice. So we're very much focused on helping individuals who care for places, care for collections, or are responsible for heritage broadly. But it's focused very much on people who are practitioners. We don't do a lot of theory. We're about 95 people in that building you see there, which is in West Los Angeles. About a third of us are scientists. I'm not one of those scientists, but they're doing chemistry and material science and understanding artist materials and why they deteriorate. We have a group of people in the department called Buildings and Sites who work advancing practice related to buildings. Some of the principal areas of focus at the moment are urban buildings, 20th century architecture, and we do a lot of capacity building in the world as well. We have a smaller group of people who are focused on collections and advancing thinking around the conservation of collections. One of the big initiatives there is to look at what we call museum environments and collections environments, attempt to develop a more sustainable set of criteria for museums and collecting institutions to air condition and provide humidity for collections. At the moment in the world, there's a kind of orthodoxy that every museum from here to Tokyo to Los Angeles all should have the exact same settings and standards. And we're trying to break that orthodoxy with an evidence-based approach. Then I have a large group of colleagues who are focused on the communication of our work, because everything we do, we attempt to put back out into the world as quickly and as freely as possible. And then also we have a large group of people who are focused on what we call heritage data, and that'll be part of the focus of my comments. But we are research-focused and scientifically led. We are, I'm always pleased to be with my colleagues in the World Monuments Fund. We're two independent organizations, private organizations in the United States who complement us perfectly. They do things that we're envious of every day. We wish we could frequently honest last, but it's really true. But I think our work complements each other extremely well. What I thought I'd do today is focus on one of our projects that I think may have seen some of the workers that were working at a particular site or place. I think what's different than the World Monuments Fund is that we don't go and assist others to conserve and restore their heritage. If we're out in the world working on a project to preserve a resource, we're trying to demonstrate research. We're trying to demonstrate our research to prove that it's either valuable and helpful, or have our colleagues and partners tell us, stop that work. It's not helpful to us. But what we're trying to do every day when we wake up, understand what the needs of the field are, what the needs of practicing conservators are, and then we choose work that attempts to advance those questions and advance that preservation of whatever material we're talking about in the world. So I'm going to talk first about a project called Arches. There we are. And I have a video which I'll play in a second. I don't maybe put my microphone at the laptop so you can hear it. But I'll just go back one slide. So that is my hometown, that's Los Angeles there. And that has to be an instance of this Arches software program. We developed Arches, we didn't know who was going to pick it up, how it was going to be used. But essentially, Arches is a heritage data management platform. It was created specifically and initially for inventories of places. And in fact, as Giannis mentioned, this work stems back to about 2005, when all of us were attempting to figure out how to assist our colleagues in Iraq after the American invasion of Iraq and the Sackler Museum there. And we settled on helping our archaeological colleagues there. And one of the things that came out of that is there wasn't a modern, web-based, geospatially enabled platform that a country, an agency, project could house their inventory data on. And Arches was born as a result. And it's something we did together in the early days with our colleagues at the World Monuments Fund. This image here just happens to show LA. I show it to you today because it's a town, but one of the things that Arches is very good at is making information about places accessible. So all 880,000 parcels in the city of Los Angeles were surveyed in a project that Getty and the city did together. And then all that information resides on this website, and it's all publicly available. So that's an important aspect of the Arches platform. Next slide, please. So this is the Arches website. It's, the URL is archesproject.org. You'll see it's a tool and community supported by the Getty. Anyone can go to the site. As I said, it's open source software. Anyone in this room can download the software and utilize it as they see fit. Because it's open source, we don't always know who is employing the software, which is great. Anyone can go out and take it and deploy it, and then one morning we'll get an email learning that it's being deployed in the Philippines, and there are hundreds of sites on the site. We know nothing about that. And so from our perspective, that's a total success. The site is known, people recognize the software is valuable. Next slide, please. That just shows our known implementations at the moment. You'll see something similar in the videos along going forward. This is a publication I wanted to point out that my colleague And then I'm going to try to see if this video works, so I'll ask for the next slide.
Many
Thank you. Thank you. Diana, sorry, I have to practice your yoga there so you can hear the soundtrack of the video. So, toward the end, it was a bit of a curveball, but what's happening we're learning is that ARCHES is being utilized for other kinds of undertakings as well, for the cataloging of museum collections, and really interestingly, its utilization to house archival records. So those are some emerging issues, just so if you wonder why that was there. So this is the Conservation Institute's webpage, where virtually everything we do is available, but I pointed out because of the publications we make available and the other research resources about which I'm going to tell you now. Next slide, please. So at the Conservation Institute, we have the so-called Information Center, which is a group of conservation information specialists who are available to you if you have particular questions related to conservation. You can find their email address at the site, and they're there to provide any kind of reference and resources you might need. Next slide, please. Behind my colleagues there, you probably have heard about some comprehensive libraries focused on the conservation of both art and architecture. Not just practicing documents, but a whole range of great literature published by places like UNESCO and other policy documents that are available. And those things which we have copyright to, we're happy to make copies of and share with you if there are things you need. Next slide. We also published something called the AATA, which was used to be known as the Art and Archaeological Technical Abstracts. It's an abstracting service of conservation literature in the world. Again, it's freely available to you online. It was formerly a bunch of pastel colored books that was converted to an online resource about 15 years ago. Again, it's another resource that's available to anyone for your work. Then the penultimate slide is we do a lot of publishing
and also because I feel like being a priest in a church with all those Christ around us. So it's very present. So let me go down and be one of the Christians. Okay, so I am Bruno Montaillon. I work at the EU delegation. I am in charge of the civil society and also human rights, gender and culture. So as such, at the EU delegation, we do not have a guichet for a cultural project because most of the time we work through projects and through partners, projects such as yours and partners that we are quite a lot around the table, let's say quite places. So let me just tell you, I did not prepare anything because yesterday we had a very high level visit, maybe you heard about it. Madame Callas, our number 2, was here. She left this morning. It was a very tiring day, but it was very important for us also to show to our Armenian friends how Europe cares for Armenia in this very difficult context. So I would like to, I was given 3 minutes, and you will see I will respect them. I will mention 4 projects and 3 dynamics. 4 projects because, as I told you, we work through project and through partner. It's very seldom that we do direct grants. Most of the time we support projects through call for proposal or tender. So 4 projects. The first one is over. It's called Catapult. It was implemented by AGBU and some of you were supported. It supports more than 100 creative industries and maybe you can ask later on some of you, some people who used to work there and also say that. So Catapult, we are currently working on second phase, but it will be smaller, but targeting creative industries for sure. Second project is EU for Culture. EU for Culture, it's a regional project. It had the first phase just finished, but the new phase is a 10 million euro. Usually, I don't really like to give a figure because it does not mean so. I mean, it's quite difficult and sensitive to mention those, but it's a 10 million euro working with the neighborhood country, the East neighborhood country. You know them, I will not name them, but I would say that under this project, Armenia is, I would say, one of the leading countries, because the other one, you know, are not as such so involved in human rights / culture. So EU for Culture, I will give all the documents to Gayane and she will share all of this. We have a dedicated web page for this. The third project is the project we have with Unique. Do you know what is Unique? Please tell me because I always forget. Please. Unique is European Union National Institute for Culture. It's like we have one representative here. It's let's say a platform of EU National Institute for Culture, such as Institut Français, Goethe, Cervantes, Dante, and so on. And in Armenia, they are very, very, very proactive, and we have a small contract with them, and they have also dedicated funds, dedicated website, dedicated project. Our role, as I told you, our role is to work through these partners, through this partner. Why? Because maybe you know that EU is quite complicated, I would say, institution, but culture is not among the EU policy. It belongs to the EU member states. 27 member state policy. You remember our logo is United, Unité. You should help us. Unis dans la diversité, united within the diversity. So this is our logo. Then the last project I would like, it's a program actually. I don't think they are here, but definitely you must get in touch with them. It's what we call Creative Europe. Creative Europe actually. Some of you are funded by Creative Europe. We have a desk here, a very proactive desk, and you can apply to, let's say that we have something like 10 to 15 calls every year. So you have to look at them, look at the call. You have to check the eligibility. Some of them are very difficult to apply, but definitely now, with the support of this Creative Europe desk, a lot of Armenian projects are winning some grants. And this is the last project I wanted to introduce, but just for you to know that we are working also with SEDA and other experts on Armenian application to Creative Europe Media, which is a huge, a bigger project, and is so important after the USA cut and knowing how Armenian media are under stress here. Not only media, but also filmmaker and so on. These are my first 3 minutes. Now, I still have 2 minutes to mention 3 dynamics. We have at the EU delegation, and I think we are one of the only EU delegation in the world, we have on this, we have a roadmap that was drafted and designed by the EU delegation, shared with EU member states, shared with UNIC, this national institute, and shared with the authorities. And this is like it's a framework for us and for our policy and cooperation here. So this is the roadmap, first dynamic. Second dynamic is what we call Team Europe. As I told you, Q2 is not under our mandate. It's not under EU mandate, it's under EU member state mandate. But we have launched now a Team Europe initiative where we will try to coordinate and to label also all our support. Because I discovered 1 hour ago that we have a lot of projects supported by the EU. Most of the time we don't know because they are managed also by headquarters. So this is a Team Europe. It will be a label and also showing to the Armenian people, to the diaspora, but also to the EU citizen how coordinated is the EU. EU delegation, EU commission, and EU member states. This is the second. And the third is what we have launched a few weeks ago. We have launched the first policy forum on Q2 with the ministry. And this is very important for us. As EU, we always try, we work with the civil society. We work a lot with civil society, especially here, because it's very important and a proactive civil society. But what we have to do is to work with the ministry. And that's what we launched that policy forum 2 weeks ago. The minister was there, the deputy minister was there, we were something like 150 people, cultural stakeholders, some of you were there, and this will be a regular policy forum on culture policy making. Thank you so much. We do not have a guichet, as I told you, but I will share with Gaia and the organizer all our websites, the presentation also that we have done during this policy forum. And thanks a lot and amen.
Activities with us, so I invited here Fatma
here, please. Amen. That's right.
Well, hello everyone. Madam Tess. First, I'd like to give a massive thank you to Ian for coordinating this event and to everyone who was involved in organizing this. It's very valuable for us to know all the landscape, the institutional landscape here in Armenia, but also the civil society landscape, and to be relevant in the actions that we are doing here. And as for me, also I arrived in Armenia 4 months ago, so already it's a perfect timing for me to get to all the answers. So I was kindly invited to present the actions that we are doing here in Armenia. And actually the cooperation between France and Armenia is an outstanding relationship. And it goes way back, like almost 30 years back. Through archaeological missions, French Armenian archaeological missions. So the first one was the Curtis mission, where you can see the which is a French Armenian mission with experts from France and from Armenia who are working on the culture between the Neolithic It was from 2022 to 2023. And with this new program, so 2024-2025, we are pursuing our efforts. So we are working closely with the Ministry of Culture of Armenia to identify the needs of the museum, and we are working on the French side with the INP, which is the National Institute for Heritage, is training the future conservators and restaurers in France. We together are doing like a tailor-made curriculum for the training session. For professionals, it's usually 1 week session happening every 2 months and on different topics. On conservation issues, how to restore papers, graphic papers, here you can see the transition that happened at Madaran, and it was a specific format, what we call, what we are calling a field school. This means that so we have 2 trainers from the INP from France, and they are working with students from the INP from France together with So that's a quick overview of what we are doing and the main project that we are implementing right now. So what's next for us is thinking about the next program. So we are going to apply to get more funds next year for new program from 2026 to 2027. Obviously, we are doing some cuts. Thanks to we had a difficult situation regarding culture and funding for heritage. But still, we're going to apply, and we already have some ideas. We want to do a new component on retail heritage in collaboration with the National Library in France. Actually, the president was in Armenia a few weeks ago to discuss with the Madala, the National Library of Armenia, the Museum of Art and Literature, of the possible area
իրանք շատ հարմար են կազմակերպության առանձին նախագծերի համար, այսինքն որևէ ՀԿ կամ հիմնադրամ ունի առանձին տարբեր նախագծեր, արժեքություն արժեքություն կա ֆինանսապես, բացվում է նախագիծը ու ամեն նախագիծ ռեալվենյան ունենում է իր էջը, որտեղ որ ներկայացում է նախագծի մանրամասները, խնդիրը, լուծումը, թիմը, շահառուները, նաև թե ինչ ազդեցություն է ունենալու տվյալ նախագիծը մշակութային ոլորտում։ Նաև այդ նախագծի ուղղակի սլայդերը չկա, որ լինեն ավելի մանրամասներ։ Երևում են բոլոր աջակիցների անունները, թե ովքեր են աջակցել, երբ են աջակցել, ինչ չափով են աջակցել, երբ են նախագծի նպատակը, թե ընդհանուր ինչքան գումարի անհրաժեշտություն կա, ինչքան է հավաքագրվել, ու նաև հարթակի միջոցով ամբողջ աշխարհից նվիրաբերություններ ստանալու հնարավորություն կա, թե Հայաստանից, թե ԱՄՆ-ից, նաև նշան, որ ԱՄՆ-ում այդ ֆինանսված հիմնադրամներ ու հարկերի նվազեցման սկզբունքով նվիրաբերություններ ևս հնարավոր է կատարել։ Այստեղ մեկ անգամյա դրամահավաքներն են։ Սա նախագծի էջն է, որի մասին որ պատմում էի, այստեղ ներկայացվում են նախագծերը, սահմանվում է նպատակը, այստեղ երևում են թող աջակիցները, սովորաբար 5 թող աջակից են նշվում, ովքեր որ ամենաշատ նվիրաբերություններն են կատարել, ներկերի հատվածում արդեն ամբողջական նվիրաբերողների ցանկն է, ու արդեն նվիրաբերի կոճակի միջոցով հնարավոր է լինում կատարել նվիրաբերություններ 4 արժույթով, դրամ, ռուբլի, դոլար և եվրո, ու այստեղ արդեն ընտրում ենք վճարման մեթոդը, ինչպես նշեցի, և Հայաստանից, և ԱՄՆ-ից նվիրաբերություններ հնարավոր է կատարել, նաև գրուպեով և գրուպեով, ու մյուս մի հատ այստեղ նաև նշան, որ հնարավոր է կատարել անանուն նվիրաբերություններ, եթե չեք ցանկանում ձեր անուն Երևա, ու նաև կարող եք ձեր էլի հասցրել կցվել հենց նախագծի հեղինակի հետ, ովքեր արդեն ուղիղ կապի մեջ կան ձեզ հետ։ Սա միանգամյա նախագծերի մասով է, պարբերական նախագծերը նաև, պարբերական բաժանությամբ, իրենք շատ հարմար են հենց կազմակերպությունների օպերացիոն ծախսերը հոգալու համար, այսինքն նույն ՀԿ-ն կամ հիմնադրամը կարող է հենց իր շարունակական գործունեություն ապահովելու համար բացել նախագիծ, արդեն նվիրաբերողները բաժանորդագրվում են, գուցում են իրենց քարտը արդեն ամսական նվիրաբերություններ ստանում տվյալ նախագիծը։ Այստեղ նորից օրինակ ունենք, երևում է նախագծի ամսական նպատակը, թե տվյալ հիմնադրամի գործունեության համար ամսական ինչքան գումար է անհրաժեշտ, երբ ամբողջ հավաքագրված գումարը բոլոր ամիսների ընթացքում ու ամսական նպատակը կարող է սահմանվել տարբեր կերպ, օրինակ այս հիմնադրամը սահմանել է, որ 3.800.000-ի դեպքում կանի ինչ-որ աշխատանք, իսկ եթե ավելի գումար կարողանա ամսական հավաքագրվել, շատ ավելի մեծ աշխատանքը կարողանա կատարել, ամսական աջակիցների դեպքում արդեն երևում է ամսական նշումը, այստեղ հասկացում որ տվյալ դոլարը ու ամսական $80 subscription ունի, ամեն ամիս տվյալ հիմնադրամը ստանում է այդ նվիրաբերությունը։ Այստեղ արդեն բաժանորդագրվելու հատվածն է, ավտոմատ նշանը կա, որ ամսական հնարավոր է բաժանորդագրվել, եթե դոլարները չեն ցանկանում, նշանը կարող է անել, ու այստեղ պետք է նշեմ, որ ռեալվենյան, ինչպես տեսնում եք, տակը կա աջակցել ռեալվենյային, ռեալվենյան ընդհանրապես միջնորդավճարներ չի կացում, ամբողջ գումարը, որը որ հավաքագրվում է, տրամադրվում է նախագծի հեղինակներին, ու այս հատվածում ռեալվենյայի թերավճար թողնելու հնարավորություն կա, եթե նվիրաբերողը ցանկանա, իր իսկ կամքով կարող է որոշակի գումար նաև հարթակի շարունակական գործունեության համար ձեզ, շատ շնորհակալություն կայանե այս հարթակը տրամադրելու համար։ Ես ազգագրագետ եմ եւ սովորաբար մենք անում ենք տարբեր հետազոտություններ եւ իմ գիտության մեթոդը, լեզու, ձևը որպես հետաքրքրում են մարդկանց խնդիրները։ Եթե նայում ենք համակարգերին, ինստիտուտներին, ելի նայում ենք մարդկանց տեսակետից։ Այսինքն իմ շահը է ստեղ ներկայացնել Արցախի մշակութային կազմակերպություններին պատած դարձությանը մարդկային տեսակետից, որտեղ հաճախ մենք ինստիտուցիոնալ բառեր ենք շատ գործածում, տարբեր մեզ թվում է հասկանալի տերմիններով փորձում ենք բացատրել են ինչ պատահել է, բայց հաճախ դրա հետևում այդ մարդկային առօրյականությունը, որը դժվարացնում է այդ ինստիտուցիոնալ կազմակերպությունների գոյությունը, եւ որ մինչև վերջ նա չենք պատկերացնում, դա էլ դժվարացնում է մեր բոլոր ջանքերը, երբ որ ուզում ենք օգտակար լինել։ Ես սովորաբար զբաղվում եմ ոչ թվական մշակութային ժառանգության, քաղաքականության, հետազոտության խնդիրներով։ Կներեք շատ ինձ։
She's from Yarra State University. She's representing Artsakh NGOs. The main purpose of her research is to represent NGOs from human perspective. So she says that we are using a lot of words when we're talking about NGOs, and we're using technical words, and we are losing our main purpose. It's the idea of being more more based on human related and human relationship.
Շնորհակալություն կներեք, ես կարող չեմ ավելի կխոսեմ, որ հնարավոր լինի։ Արցախի մշակութային կազմակերպությունների հետ սկսել եմ ծանոթանալ 2020 թվականի տեղահանությունից հետո։
She started getting knowing Artsakh cultural NGOs after 2020 war.
Ես ուզում եմ, որ մենք լավ պատկերացնենք, որ տեղահանության մասին որ ասում ենք, միշտ երկու փուլ պիտի նկատի ունենանք։ Առաջին փուլը 2020 թվականի սեպտեմբերի 27-ի Ադրբեջանի հարձակումից հետո, երբ որ Արցախի տարածքների զգալի մասի կորուստ եղավ եւ այս տարածքների բնակչությունը իրենց ինստիտուտներով, մշակութային մարդկանցով եւ կյանքով տեղահանվեցին։ Մյուս փուլը 2023 թվականին արդեն տոտալ հայազերծման փուլն էր։
When we're talking about relicants of Artsakh people who are living in Artsakh, we have to mention two steps. First one was after 2020 war. It was relicants of their lives of human beings who were living there, and the second step was 2023, and this was the final relicants of Artsakh people.
Եվ այս երկու փուլերը մշակութային կազմակերպությունների եւ մշակութային մարդկանց վրա ունեցան տարբեր ազդեցություններ։
The impact was diverse on people and on NGOs, the cultural NGOs too.
Եթե 2020 թվականին կորսված տարածքներից տեղահանված մշակութային կազմակերպությունները Հայաստան տեղափոխվելով շարունակեցին պահպանել իրենց Արցախի պետական բյուջեից կայուն տարեկան պլանավորված ֆինանսավորումը,
And in 2020, when cultural NGOs moved to Armenia, they maintained their finances from Artsakh culture
state by state.
State financiation. They had a state financiation.
Եվ դա իրենց հնարավորություն էր տալիս Հայաստանում տեղահանությունից հետո շարունակել իրենց գործունեությունը։ Ֆինանսական առումով քիչ թե շատ կայունություն ունեին, կարողանում էին գտնել տարածքներ, դրանց համար վարձակալել, շարունակել իրենց, քանի որ սեպտեմբեր էր, նախորդ այդ տարվա համար պլանավորած աշխատանքները։ իրենք լինելով տեղահանվածներ, ես անդադ ուզում եմ, որ մենք դա էլ հիշենք, որ իրենք ինչ-որ օդից կտրված մարդիկ չեն, այլ իրենք հենց տեղահանվածներ են, տեղահանվածներին բնորոշ բոլոր կենցաղային դժվարություններով։
So she wants us to remember that all the relicants are human beings with
Refugees.
displaced people. Displaced people, all of them are human beings with their feelings, and also
Եվ դրանից լինելով իրենք տեղահանված, այսինքն ստիպված լինելով Հայաստանում նոր տուն գտնել, նոր այդ տունը վարձել, նոր միջավայր ձևավորել, կարողացան, քանի որ ունեին իրենց ֆինանսավորումը, իրենց կենտրոնները ինչ որ ձևով մի քիչ վերապրոֆիլավորելով շարունակել գործունեությունը։
of course they had challenges, but due to stable financiation of Artsakh state, they continued their work also here.
Եվ այդ կազմակերպությունները 2023 թվականի տեղահանության մեծ ալիքի ժամանակ արդեն դարձան կարծես ընդունող հանգույցներ իրենց նոր տեղահանված համերկրացիների համար, քանի որ արդեն 3 տարի Հայաստանում քիչ թե շատ ծանոթացել էին Հայաստանի գոնե քաղաքի տրամաբանությանը, տրանսպորտին, առօրյա խնդիրների լուծմանը եւ այս իմաստով իրենք դարձան այդ ընդունող հանգույցները։
So in 2023, the NGOs, cultural NGOs, which were based after the First War, started hospitalizing after the second wave of Artsakh refugees. They started to guesting them and being a place for them to stay.
Այս կազմակերպությունները ստիպված լինելով տրանսֆորմացվել իրենց նոր դերի հետ, սկսեցին ընդունել հարյուրավոր երեխաների, տեղահանված երեխաների, նրանց համար դառնալով ապահով տեղեր, իրենց բարբառով խոսելու, իրենց ծնողների շփումը ապահովելու համար։
And those centers became a place where Artsakh people could stay together. They could have keep their dialect. The kids could play together and stay together as a union.
Այս կազմակերպությունները, որոնք 2020 թվականից թվում էր թե քիչ թե շատ կայունություն ունեին, նրանք ևս կանգնեցին լրջագույն մարտահրավերների առաջ, քանի որ 2024 թվականից նրանց ֆինանսավորումը տոտալ վերացավ։ Եվ մի վայրկյանում այս կազմակերպությունները հայտնվեցին ուղղակի գոյաբանական խնդրի առջև։
These NGOs that's more or less settled. Later in 2024, they had to face immediate interruption of their funding, and in just one day, they were deprived of their entire funding opportunities.
Ես ուզում եմ, որ մենք բոլորս պատկերացնենք ինչ էր դա նշանակում։ Հայաստանում կան բազմաթիվ մշակութային կազմակերպություններ, որոնք բյուջետային ֆինանսավորում ունեն, այսինքն նրանք չեն մտածում տարածքի մասին, չեն մտածում տարածքի վարձակալության մասին, չեն մտածում աշխատողների ամենամսյա աշխատավարձ տալու մասին, չեն մտածում, թե որտեղ են իրենք ինչպես են գնալու աշխատանքի, որտեղ աշխատանքի ընդունվելիս արդեն իմացել են այդ աշխատանքի տեղը, ոչ թե նոր հայտնվել է այդ տեղը, որը կարող է նաև անընդհատ փոխվել։
I wanted us all to understand what this means, because in Armenia we have so many organizations that rely on the state budget, state funding, and they know that their work is secured. They do not have to worry about their monthly funding, the rental of their venues, the salaries, etc., because everything is secured thanks to the state budget.
Եվ այս կազմակերպություններն Արցախում աշխատում էին նման
ուսուցման մեջ, արվեստ էին սովորեցնում, նկարչություն եւ այլն, նրանք անվճար էին։
So these NGOs, Artsakh NGOs, were working in the same way back in Artsakh. So in their regions, they would employ the people from that region and they would be funded from the state budget. Most of the time, these cultural classes, lessons would be free of charge because everything was covered by the state budget.
Եվ այս փոփոխություններից հետո նրանցից շատերը կանգնեցին ուղղակի տեղ չունենալու ֆիզիկական խնդրի առաջ, այսինքն չունեին որևէ տեղ, որի վարձը տային, որտեղ շարունակեն։ Չունեին որևէ միջոց, որը վճարեին իրենց մասնագետներին, բայց շարունակում էին ունենալ բազմաթիվ հարյուրավոր երեխաներ, ում ծնողները շատ ուզում էին, որ տեղահանությունից հետո իրենք շարունակեն գնալ այդ իրենց համար ծանոթ միջավայրերը։
But after these changes, they were deprived of all these means and resources, and they would need to take care of the rental of the venues and the spaces they were using, and also take care of the classes. But they had these kids, hundreds and thousands of kids attending their lessons, and the families, the parents really wanted the kids to continue attending the lessons because it would also allow them to keep in touch with their communities.
Եվ քանի որ մենք այստեղ շատերս մշակութային կազմակերպությունների հիմնադիրներ ենք, որպես քաղաքացիական հասարակության կազմակերպություններ, մենք գիտենք, որ մենք այս կազմակերպությունները հիմնել ենք եւ մենք նպատակահարմար ենք գտել եւ պատրաստ ենք եղել դրան եւ ունեցել ենք այդ գաղափարական նվիրվածությունը եւ պատրաստվածությունը, բայց Արցախի մշակութային կազմակերպությունները մի օրում հայտնվեցին այդ NGO-իզացիայի ռիսկի առաջ, երբ որ իրենք պիտի որոշում կայացնեին դառնալ հասարակական կազմակերպություն շարունակելով գործունեությունը։
And us being here as representatives of civil society, we all know that we founded our NGOs at a time in our lives when we knew we were ready, we had the resources in place and the capacity to start an organization. While with Artsakh organization, in one day they had to become an NGO to go through this NGOization process, which they were not familiar with.
Եվ բացի որ անծանոթ էին, նաև չունեին որևէ հնարավորություններ, ռեսուրսներ, կոմպետենցիաներ, դա նշանակում է անդադ դիմել ծրագրերի, գտնել բյուջե, ունենալ բյուջե 2 ամսվա համար, իսկ ինչ անել այդ հաջորդ ամիսների համար։ Եվ այս բոլոր անորոշությունները գումարվում էին իրենց տեղահանված լինելու անորոշություններին առօրյա կյանքում։
Not only they were not familiar with the system, how it works, but they also didn't have the resources, they didn't have any funds in place, maybe they had funds 1 or 2 months in place, but they had to deal with all these insecurities alongside with their personal life and family issues as displaced people.
Եվ որպեսզի շատ չվերցնեմ ինձ հատկացված ժամանակից ավել, մի խնդիր է այդ ապա ինստիտուցիոնալիզացիան այս կազմակերպությունների, մյուսը բյուջեի կորուստը, որը իրենց հնարավորություններ չէր տալիս տարածք ունենալ, մասնագետներ ունենալ, հաջորդը կայունությունը, երբ որ իրենք ստիպված են անընդհատ կարճաժամկետ ծրագրերիով շարունակել գոյատևել եւ հաջող հիմնվել դոնորների նախասիրությունների վրա։
So to keep it short, first of all, they needed to go through this deinstitutionalization process to become an independent organization, NGO, from a state-funded organization. Second issue was this deprivation of the budget that they knew was secured for the entire time being of their organizations prior to this moment. And the third also
donor-driven. They need to somehow serve donors.
They need to understand how to find donors, deal with them, and how to be part of this ecosystem.
Եվ մյուս մշակութային մասը այս կազմակերպությունները Արցախում մշակութային միջավայրեր էին եւ պարտադիր չի որ անմիջականորեն եւ միայն առնչվեին Արցախի մշակույթի ուսուցման, տարածման եւ ստեղծման հետ։ Նրանք առհասարակ արվեստային եւ մշակութային միջավայրեր են, բայց տեղահանությունից հետո նրանք ստիպված իրենց վրա կամավոր կրեցին նաեւ Արցախի մշակութային ժառանգության
Artsakh, their activities were focused in general on arts and culture. They would implement artistic actions and lessons and classes, but after the exodus of Armenians from Artsakh, being in Armenia, involuntarily they also had to take on the role of the preservation and safeguarding of the cultural heritage of Artsakh. So these organizations also had to take on the role of the safeguarders of their heritage.
Եվ ամենագլխավորը անընդհատ ծրագրեր գրելու հյուծող ընթացքը, ինչպես նշեց հենց այսօր իմ լավ գործընկերներից մեկը, ասում է ամբողջ օրը ծրագիր են գրում, ժամանակ չի մնում ստեղծագործելու համար։
And most importantly, this endless routine of writing programs and applications, which is exhausting, and everyone is saying and complaining that most of their time goes on these application processes and they don't have time for their creative work.
Եվ ճիշտ է վերջին ժամանակներում շատ առանձնացել են տարբեր ծրագրեր, որոնք աջակցություն են առաջարկում Լեռնային Ղարաբաղից տեղահանված փաստականների տարբեր խնդիրներին ուղղված ծրագրերի։ Այս ծրագրերին դիմելու համար էլ Արցախի մշակութային կազմակերպությունները ինստիտուցիոնալ իմաստով շատ դժվարություններ են ունենում եւ հաճախ տեղական կազմակերպությունները իրենց հետ, իրենց փոխարեն վերցնում են այդ առաջնորդող դերը, որը դարձյալ այդքան շատ չի նպաստում իրենց ինստիտուցիոնալ տեսանելիության բարձրացմանը։
It's true that recently we've been having more and more increasing opportunities for Artsakh NGOs to apply and find funding, but they are still struggling with the application processes of these opportunities as well. So most of the time, some local organizations, friends, partners help them take on this responsibility of filling in the applications and applying. But this, even though it helps, but it doesn't help to increase the institutional visibility of these organizations.
Որպես ամփոփում ես գիտեմ, որ Արցախի մշակութային մարդիկ ոտքի են կանգնելու։ Ես գիտեմ, որ այդ ճանապարհին իրենք հաղթահարելու են շատ տարբեր դժվարություններ։ Եվ ուզում եմ, որ բոլորս մեր գործը համարենք իրենց որպես մշակութային կազմակերպություններ տեսանելի դարձնելը, առաջին պլանում իրենց տեսանելի դարձնելը, մեզ հետին պլան տնելը, իրենց մոտ անդադ հյուրեր տանելը, հյուր գնալը եւ մեր կյանքում իրենց որպես կարևոր տարածք ու արժեք դիտարկելը, որտեղ չլինեն այս կազմակերպությունները, չի լինի նաեւ այն ինչի պահպանության ուղղված են մեր բոլորի ջանքերը Արցախի համար։ Շնորհակալություն։
And to conclude, I know that our cultural experts and workers of Artsakh organizations, they will stand up, they will move on, and they will revive. They have the strength and the resources, and it should be the mission of all of us to highlight their work, to put the spotlight on them, to bring them to the front and help them from the backstage in order
Sorry for apologize for this technical problem. Yeah, thank you very much to have this opportunity to be here and to share some ideas. Actually, I'm impressed by the many good NGOs who are working for heritage and for culture and art and in Armenia. Here, which I would like now to present some of reflections and ideas related to the work that we do through our organization Heritage for Peace. Actually, after working many years in conflicts and trying to do some projects, we figured out the importance of the civil society. The civil society role is very, very important, and for many reasons. Because actually, the people who are having the power on the ground to do the things. And through our work, I would like to introduce later an initiative which works in civil societies in conflict. I mean, having some lesson learned to share for the Armenian context and for the artisan as well concept. Our organization, Heritage for Peace, was created since 2013 in order to support on the protection of cultural heritage. I am myself Syrian, so I became also refugees for many as you as well. I left Syria just 1 year before the conflict, and when the war started, watching and all the conflict and also the destruction, so we decided that we need really to do something. So we created Heritage for Peace in 2013. The idea of our work and our mission statement is to support heritage workers in different citizenship, religion, as they work towards the protection of cultural heritage for future organization. So, and our focus is on the use of heritage for peace building. So later I will share some of the reflections how heritage could be used as well for peace building. And here I will not have so much time to talk about all the projects, but I will be focusing on the network that we have for NGOs. And I will share with you some of those lessons learned, why really having this unification or network of civil society organization could make a change. And so as I said, our organization was established in 2013. We did since our foundation many projects. So the projects are focused in promotions and implementation of the protection of cultural heritage in conflict. We use heritage as I said to promote peace, and we work during conflict. And very, very important things that we really are strict since our foundation is to link local communities as well to the whole actors. So, and actually, working with many NGOs, they face a lot of problems. And the founders, they don't really understand a lot of those challenges. So, we learned, basic things, how we really should support NGOs with simple things. You talked about the grant application. So the grant application is a skill. The people they need really to train how to write a grant, So I will later talk about some courses in order to support NGOs to write grants. Later I will talk about this. So as you know, all of those countries are facing conflict: Syria, Iraq, Yemen, Libya, Ukraine, Sudan, Gaza, Lebanon, Nagorno-Karabakh, and Ukraine and Libya. We work, many of them, still we didn't Some of the photos of construction, Palmyra, Aleppo, in Syria. We go fast. Crack Chevalier is a mosque in Aleppo. You know, here in Iraq, Mosul, construction of Libya, Gaza, the crime, and this is Nagorno-Karabakh. You know, since some years I follow the Caucasus Heritage Watch monitoring, and you know, every day with this map there is change. So cemeteries, churches, monasteries, and really, I mean, since just 3 months I saw the map, and every month it changed. You know, so there is a huge importance as well to monitor by satellite imageries the destruction which is happening in Nagorno-Karabakh. So, very easy. Why your work is very important, and this is what we learned. We decided to focus on this, supporting local civil society, because the modest role of the international organization. Never ever UNESCO will come to the small NGOs and will ask them what they need, you know. Even on the convention of UNESCO 1970, 1972, they talk about the local communities. But this is a big issue that we face. All international organizations affiliated to UNESCO, also ICO, they really do very little with civil society. Limitation of state limitation institution. I mean, we know Armenian institution, you know, they have really a lot of problems. They have a lot of problems with funding, with structure, with bureaucracy, and again, as well, in many conflicts, we saw that there is no really role of international law. So there are many places where there is non-state actors, and now in the case in Syria, also in Yemen, and before as well in Antasar Republic, it was not state actor because it was not recognized by the international law. So this made really the needs of really a very active important role of the civil society. So since 5 or 6 years, we launched this initiative, ARCH. So ARCH is a network of civil society organizations to protect cultural heritage. What I wish, and I hope that through Kaide, Sede, and the hub, hopefully it will be a hub in Armenia, it will be the hub which unite and bring all the civil society together in order to work. And then I will share with you some of reflections of how that can be done. Okay, thank you. So, our main objectives is create network, identify and find heritage production projects, enhance the visibility. Here is something which also, I think it's also happened. We work with local to identify the looted art. And actually, I think in Armenia, the locals that can identify a lot of looting. We need to work with them and raising awareness in order to understand how all this looted art is happening. Because I think in every country the looting is a problem, and really there is a need to start to document all of this looting. In Syria, in other countries as well, we work with locals in order to document the looting. This is a study that we published about how Islamic State used illicit traffic to finance the terrorism. And we work with the people, so the people have all the knowledge. And actually this is part which really we need to think about it, because a lot of objects which they were in the Nagorno-Karabakh museum, they are now being looted. A lot of them. We know that a lot of them they came to Turkey to here, but still I see objects they are at risk of being looted. And this is something actually we need really to think about it, because there are a lot of complicity in international law regarding to the looting of artisan objects. This is something we really need a lot of work. This is a project also we did order to train on civil society with imams and to share imams as a protection and raising awareness of cultural heritage and its duty. I will not have a lot of details to talk about that, but so we do. Civil society, they really need to have a solid basic knowledge about the law, especially the heritage law, and there are a lot of international conventions, the cultural diversity, the intangible heritage law of 2003, many other conventions, 5 conventions. The civil society organization really is a need to get some training on that, because if they don't have the basic and the legal basic things, it will be really very important that you use this knowledge in their work about looting, about world heritage sites, about tangible heritage, about cultural diversity. All of these things we need really to teach and make a training on those kind of legal laws. This is a project we work in Raqqa, in Syria, and sometimes, there is also when we started working in this city in Syria, it was totally destroyed, and we empowered people to create NGOs. So there is a lot of training should be done for the NGOs about how work as an NGO. You talked about all of these challenges, so you need to teach them about the accounting, about how they can make a grant, what are the founders, what are the applications. All of this is really very needed, because otherwise they will never ever learn about all these basic things. So there is a need to create training tools for NGOs about this kind of things. Very important as well, we learned to work on the education of heritage. So in all the projects that we do a lot of activities with children, and also I think also for the people from Pakistan, the children, they need a lot of education of their heritage. And there is a tool to create as well guidelines and books about the Pakistan heritage. And this we did it in several places, and really it helps so much to support the mental health of the children, because our children come from Nagorno-Karabakh to Yerevan has a very psychological difficulties to accept, the new realities and still thinking about his home or his village. So I think really we need to create some educational tools for those children. Here in different places we created these hubs for the communities, and actually my suggestion to make a hub for the cultural heritage of Pakistan in Yerevan, or several hubs as well, where the children, they come and they learn and they can practice their dialect and their traditions. Another also initiative which is Palmyra, yesterday I talked about it, but I would like to mention it very fast. Go ahead. So also, for example, what we learned here, a lot of those refugees are having a huge knowledge of handicrafts. We need to identify what are all of those handicrafts, men and women, make a database of them, and try also to support them, giving some grants to make workshops and to make them really able to create an economy and income-generating projects for them, because all of them, I think, they have really a great opportunity to get a job through this kind of workshops for their handicrafts. This is what we did for Palmyra, and we still do it. And really, actually, it helped a lot of people to get income. Activities as well with schools, with universities, and really we need to see how those refugees and students as well could be integrated as well with the system. So I think there is a need to create and to do a lot of lectures and exhibitions about the heritage of Armenia and of Nagorno-Karabakh as well. This is an initiative, and here I would like to say, it started with Professor Wasnigar 10 years ago. I came to Berlin and we make an idea about integrate Syrian and Iraqi refugees in Berlin and Brazil. And actually it worked very well. So this experience came also to other cities in Europe, and this we do it as well in Barcelona, Aboa. And I think there is really a need to make this for the refugees here. A lot of the refugees, they really, if we bring them to museum, to galleries, to concert house, that will help them so much. And I think we really need to organize, NGOs, they could organize suitable initiatives for the museums to bring those refugees. And I think a lot of museums, they have objects from Nagorno-Karabakh, they can really be taught and also raise awareness about all of these things, because this will help and support their well-being and mental health. The importance of social media. I mean, social media is crucial, and through our initiative, all the NGOs, they share their activities, their knowledge, their what they make. So Arsh, and this is the future hub, I hope, for Armenian NGO, it will be have a website and social media accounts in LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and they can really post their activities and their work. And this is really, really very, very useful. As I said, we need to create the hub. There is a need to create this hub. And what Kaine proposed, the creation of the Armenian hub of NGO, this is really, it will be really a very important solution if it would happen. I think also the importance to work with media, especially as well, train journalists on heritage reporting, on issues related to heritage. I think a lot of journalists, they don't have really an idea about heritage reporting, about destruction, about heritage climate change, about looting, about endangered heritage. So in case if the hub will create also a media unit, it would really help, and really could be very useful to work on that. The hub could make a newsletter as well, and promote all of the activities of the hub they will do. And also more professional networks. I think important to create some network of conservators, archivists, arts, youth in endangered heritage. So these networks, I think, could be really a good tool in order to bring a lot of professionals together. Also, as I said, raising awareness, important raising awareness activities. So I think this really some reflections on how we can really help NGOs in Armenia and Kazakh good work for the culture and for the protection of cultural heritage in Armenia and in Nagorno-Karabakh. So thank you very much. I hope that I gave us sorry, just one thing which is very important, I forgot. We need really to make a lot of training on project management, project implementation, writing applications, community participation. This is we think that this is very, very basic, but this is very important in order to give a skill to NGOs to work on these issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your support. I'm calling here the authors of the project COCO Award. It's a project created by the University of Bologna. And so we have here Maurizio Villata, Valentina Gini, Delia Sidonelli, e Alessia Zampini, and we will present.
found around the world, because we didn't want to be focused only on Italian ones, but also European and extra-European ones, because we wanted to, our aim is to study the strategies, both intangible and tangible ones, that people put in place in these cases, and see which actions succeed in sharing again these building places with people and with their community.
Yes.
Okay? Then go on. So we are now mapping around 130 architectures, and these architectures are studied in order to understand their history and how the history affected what happened lately. Okay. And here you can see our the way we started. At the beginning, we decided to divide and to choose the real conflict and the interpretative ones. So, and we saw that both actually lead to the same consequences. No? Okay, and we started with this one, so this one causes, I don't know if you can see maybe, this one causes that are cultural, ethnical, political, and social. But obviously they do not exclude each other, but there are many cases in which they overlap. Okay, and we are studying the direct consequences on the architectures, and we started with the 12 actions suggested by the urban agenda, and then we decided to focus exactly on what happens to architecture. And for example, abandonment, vandalism, symbol removal, because the architecture itself became a symbol of a certain past or a certain community, and so there are many of these cases. The destruction and the demolitions, and also the decision to demolish in order to reconstruct in some way, erasing completely the history of the place. The misuse, so the proper use, separate position, so when the government decides to do that, and also the tangible impact, so the lack of financial means, so architectures that stay abandoned because there is no one who wants to put money on that. Conflict of interest, taboo and non-memorial, and overriding. So the changing of the names, the changing of symbols, that some way can lead to even to get worse. Okay. And later we are studying, now we're studying the direct action and indirect action that one can do to let's say, both the negative and the positive one, even if the idea of negative is really different from one community and the other one. Okay?
Okay, so the next step, as you can see, this is our process of our developing our project. So now we are dealing with experimental labs specifically. So we are dealing with these three sites, dismantled sites. So the first one is the Partisan Memorial Cemetery in Mostar. The second one is the house of the Fascist Party in Vedavka, Italy. And the last one is maybe Alisa will talk later very quick about our interest in the heritage perception here in Armenia. So starting with the first, so we are dealing with three different scales of approach. So the Italian one, the European one, and then outside Europe. So we try to have different kind of collection to test our research and our activities. So about the first one, it was held by the Technical Turing in May, last May, and it involved several NGOs, local associations and institutions, and was specifically about dealing with this site, of course a distant site because of its history. It is a public park now, something about to deal about identity. So they worked in terms of perception of this place, in terms of different narratives involved. In this site, and we can move on next. So, like perception exercise, like this, and then maybe it's more interesting the part about drawing. So they let the students draw their kind of idea of connection and with the city. So the city of Mostar and how they are. About their sense of belonging of this place. So it was interesting to discuss about this topic about identity in terms of starting with drawings and starting with a very young teenagers people. So we can move next very quick about the House of the Fascist Party. We had these, all the three universities, as I just said before, all the three universities were working together in order to join. Start with this video. We joined all together for a week. We joined together. We joined together. Okay, we joined together with around 20 students from all the three universities. And so we deal with this building that is in Predappio, and Predappio is the birthplace of Mussolini. So it's a very huge topic, very huge issues relating to this heritage. So very huge kind of legacy that is connected with this place, this abandoned. And so we were able to get inside and visit and perceive all this place, talking with architects involved in the restoration project, and with the students we were able to discuss together. They are all from architectural universities, so we were discussing about an idea of its future. So we tried to put together the municipality, some association involved in this in Predappio, in order to get how we can move forward for this very, very hard topic about fascism and different narratives. So that's, I think, it was 1 week, the duration was 1 week of work, and so we had also the final discussion where it's open to the communities, to the Predappio. So it was interesting also to, at the end of the week, to open the discussion with the people. So it was interesting to merge different stakeholders and different kind of idea for the future of this place. And we had several lessons also involving an artist, for instance, and so it was it was in June, so it is quite recent, this experience, but it was pretty interesting at the end of our project also to deal with this. So I think that we can just show about the last case.
Yes, we the case study here in Armenia, and also we had this very ambitious title for the presentation, what were the lessons learned for Artsakh, but we would like to say that we learned a lot from what's happening here, and this is our first reflection on the situation here. We have to say that we were here in 2020, a couple of weeks before the war started, and we were here for another project that we started monitoring what was happening, let's say, just for learning what was the story of the cultural heritage of Artsakh. We started searching from internet some information about what was the cultural heritage specific of that area. But what we found extremely astonishing for us was that we couldn't find any for us it was, let's say, not speaking or not able to read Armenian, it was very difficult to find information. But immediately after the war, we saw a lot of blogs that started to pop up and spread all over the internet. And especially the Azerbaijan ones who were focusing on this idea of strengthening the connection between the cultural heritage in the area with the Albanian communities. So it was, and of course, from the Armenian parts, we had, let's say, a prompt reaction. There was a lot of projects that immediately after the moment started to have counter narratives about what was happening, and it was very important for us to monitor at least also what was coming in Europe and from international perspective. But this gave us a very important lens of perspective, lens of reading what was happening, because as in this era of war, information are so important. It's very important for us to especially monitor these narratives on cultural heritage. Why? Because from one side, cultural heritage narratives can provide, let's say, plurality, can assure plurality of voice. When they are biased, they can, let's say, completely change the history, and in this case can also affect the way cultural heritage is preserved. Because what we saw is that, for example, here in the SIREH Cathedral, it was a very significant church, and it was hidden during the 2020 missile attack. But as far as we can see, the damages were concentrated in the lateral part. Nothing, for example, touched the roof of the dome. But when Azerbaijan started the restoration, exactly what the first demolition in the picture show us that the first element that was removed was exactly the cover and the roof of the dome. Why? Because that was a sort of identity marker for Armenian culture. So that kind of roof can immediately, let's say, make a connection with identity, with Armenian identity, and that was a sort of very, let's say, kind of dangerous approach. So those narratives, in some way, do not also affect the way cultural heritage is preserved. And on the other side, when we start having this removal, when we start having this kind of demolition of parts, removal of traces, it can be a very, let's say, it's not only a danger to the cultural heritage, but as we heard a lot from yesterday at this SIREH Conference, it is mining the possibility of the people that were living here to have a thread of continuity with their past. So it's very important to, also as an international community, to have a watch on that and to, let's say, and to denounce what is happening, because it's very dangerous, and also it makes us realizing how important it is to protect cultural heritage. You know, we are all conservator architects, so we came from that field and we are trained as in this field. We knew the importance of protecting the different layers, but when we saw what was happening in real, we absolutely understand that we need to preserve this layer, not only, let's say, for the materials and for the quality of the decoration, for the quality of the artistic elements that were embedded in this architecture, but also because in this case they represent the legitimacy of the people who stay in a place, or their connection with their past and with their land. So let's say that this was very moving moment for us. We really understood that we were doing, let's say, the conservation was for the right things, but we were probably doing for not exactly for the proper reasons. We know we were more about protecting the materiality. Instead, here we understood the importance for the people of that materiality. And also, we had the same relation. We had the chance to talk with some UNESCO chair representative in Moscow a couple of weeks ago, and they told us that, for example, in Ukraine, something very similar is happening. And, for example, some Italian colleagues asked them, or let's say, proposed to them to keep the Soviet and the Russian architecture because they were the representation of very important artistic and historical moment of the art, let's say, of the history of the architecture. And we saw the Ukrainian colleagues starting to cry because that kind of transformation was really affecting their preserve every layer of the history, but we were doing for not exactly for the good reason. Why it was so important to keep all the memory and all the layers? Because in this way, it's like keeping the traces of all the communities and all the different culture that went through a specific area, and also can provide even a way of dealing with the past, of coming into terms with the past for future generations. So in the future generation, having even that traumatic and contested heritage, because for them they are contested now, they are feeling like a Russification of their heritage. This will be very significant for dealing with the past in some way, and to remembering what was happening and the process as well, and also their power to react to what happened in that moment. So, and the second very important thing that we understood from having a look at the insight from the, let's say, from what was happening here, is how important it is to understand the values of the communities that live in this conflict area, or that are, let's say, more personal and close connection with this kind of heritage can be understood also from the international community. Of course, we are like a sort of external observer. Of course, we have connection here, we are friends, so we are in some way connected, but it's very important for us to understand what is the real meaning for the people that are living in this area. So this is why we are very thankful to Gaia Nekazanate and SIREH organization for having provided us this opportunity and having organized all these amazing opportunities for us, because having the chance to look at the NGO, see their perspective, which is like in the art and at the core of what we're doing, and also having the chance to participate in the summer school that will be held in the next days for us will be very important, because 8 days we work with the students on value-led approaches and understanding what is their perspective on their heritage, exactly as we saw in Moscow. So this idea of understanding what is their relationship, identity relationship with not contested heritage, in this case it would be in Alpha Star, but let's say this relationship with the cultural heritage is very important to be understood. So thank you very much for the opportunity, and thanks all for the attention.
So thank you very much. Indeed, an incredible project. We hope that it will have a follow-up. And we had a presentation from Seda Grigorian on the film that she is preparing, a proposal for remembering also what happened in Nakhichevan. So thank you very much, Seda, for coming here. And after this short presentation, we will go to work around the tables for the last part of the workshop.
Շնորհակալություն բոլորին, որ դեր այստեղ եք։ Ես երեք ամերիկյան համալսարանում խոսել եմ կապույտ պահանի գործունեության մասին, որը ես ներկայացնում եմ տապված մշակութային ժառանգության թեմայով, եւ խոսել եմ նաեւ հենց Նախիջևանում մշակութային ժառանգության վերացման, ոչնչացման եւ Արցախում նման հեռանկարի վտանգի մասին։ Եվ ֆիլմի հատվածը, որ հիմա կդիտեք, 10 րոպեանոց հատված է, ներկայացնում է հենց այդ զուգահեռները, ու կարծում եմ, որ նման ձևաչափերում շատ կարևոր է այս զուգահեռների մասին խոսելը, եւ նաեւ կարծում եմ, որ գիտական շրջանակներում նման վիզուալ նյութեր ունենալը եւս օգնում է մեր ասելիքը փոխանցելուն, ավելի հարաբանչելի դարձնելուն, ուզում եմ հետաքրքիր լինի մի քիչ ցավոտ լինի, իհարկե, բայց միջազգային գործընկերների համար հետաքրքիր լինի. So we will watch a 10-minute teaser from the documentary that I started producing in 2021 following the war in 2020, and then of course we'll in 2023 the situation drastically changed. All of the Armenians left Artsakh and there is no direct access to continue the filming, but I was lucky to have the chance to film in Artsakh in 2022. Some of the people you will see, like Armenia